Yes. We're going to make that change right now. Perry already took care of it. Look at that. Okay. Rona, does it make sure it's set? Good. Perry took care of you. Or the... You little... All right. That's... You know, Rona, that's strange, though. Because I was in the room the other day, and I was looking at it there, and I remember seeing it on there. But they're very finicky, right? The way they turn on is you like go like this, so who knows, right? Somebody bumps into it or something like that. No, I understand that, which is good. It's important for you to check. That is it. All right. All right. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Okay. So our first test of the evening. Mitch and Beth, can you guys hear me in the back there? Mitch, can you hear me okay? You good, Beth? You're okay? Okay, good. Good. Everybody can be heard. Excellent. Okay, Shabbat Shalom to everyone. So, as you can see, I'm riding solo this evening, so as always when that happens, I expect everybody to be singing extra loud tonight. Carry me with you. But before we get started with our service tonight... Hi guys, good job. Yes. So we're going to light and bless our Shabbat candles, and for tonight actually is a really beautiful thing that happened impromptu. So Rona Klopman, who is sponsoring our Oneg tonight, is remembering her beloved husband Alan, has graciously given some space for another yard site that is happening in our family. This is the anniversary of Lou's mom's passing, and so being able to share that experience is a beautiful sign of what this congregation is really about. So Rona, thank you for your graciousness, and Lou, thank you for yours, and we're going to turn to page 120 as these two wonderful people remember their beloveds and help us to bring Shabbat into our hearts on page 120 and page 120. Yeah, you want me to do this? This one's a little tricky. Yeah, I'll take care of this one. Okay.
Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you both. We'll turn now to page 130 in our Sidurim, in our prayer books. And again, if we have any guests who are joining us for the first time, our prayer books look just like this. If you don't have one in front of you and you need some help, don't be shy. Just raise a hand. Somebody will come and help you, I'm sure. Again, page 130, and I want to hear all those voices singing along with me. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, l'Adonai. Naria, naria, letzor yishenu, nekadma fanav v'todah. Naria, naria, letzor yishenu, bizmirot naria lo. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, l'Adonai. We'll turn now to page 131, Psalm 96, Shiru l'Adonai, just in the middle of the page. Shiru l'Adonai, shiru shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai, kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai, baruchu shemo, basru meyom leyom yeshuato, shiru l'Adonai, baruchu shemo, basru meyom leyom yeshuato. Shiru l'Adonai, shiru shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai, kol haaretz, Shiru l'Adonai baruchu shemo, basru meyom leyom Yeshuato. Shiru l'Adonai baruchu shemo, basru meyom leyom Yeshuato. We'll turn now to page 132, the last paragraph in Hebrew at the very bottom of the page. Or zaru ala tzadik, ulehishrei lev simcha. Or zaru ala tzadik, ulehishrei lev simcha. Simechu tzadikim b'Adonai, vehodu lezecher kodsho. Simechu tzadikim b'Adonai, vehodu lezecher kodsho. We'll turn now to page 134, Zamru l'Adonai, at the very top of the page. Zamru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor bekol zimra, b'chatzotzrot bekol shofar. Aharu lifnei hamelech Adonai, Yiram hayamum lo, Tevel ve'yoshveva, Neharot yimchahu chaf yachad, Harim yiraneinu, Lifnei Adonai kiva, Lishmot haaretz, Yishmot tevel betzedek, Ve'amim b'meisharim, Yiram hayamum lo, Tevel ve'yoshveva, Neharot yimchahu chaf yachad, Harim yiraneinu. We're now on page 135, Romemu, which is the last Hebrew paragraph just in the middle of the page. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. We'll turn now to Lechado D on page 138. And I think without Kevin here, we'll do first, second, fifth, and ninth paragraphs, and we'll do the dancing. And I've got the melody in my head. Yeah. Yalai, lai, yalai, lai, yalai, lai, 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 lai. Lechado di likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela, Shamor v'zachor, B'dibur echad hishmianu, El hamiuchad Adonai echad, U'shemo echad l'shem ultiferet, Ve'et lila lechadodi, Likrat kala P'nei Shabbat nekabela, Lechadodi likrat kala P'nei Shabbat nekabela, לקראת שבת, לכו ונלכה כי היא מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה. Fifth paragraph. התעוררי כי באורך קומי אורי שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצהלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה. ay lay 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 ay la 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 lay ay lay 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 ay la 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 lay ay lay 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 ya la 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 ya la la ay la 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 ya la 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 lecha dodi לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה. Well done, guy. Look, it's not to say we don't have the cantor, but I love the ruach. I love the spirit. It's excellent. Thank you, guys. Everybody just to take a seat to catch their breath a little bit. Dancing our way into Shabbat. We're going to turn to page 140, just where the Hebrew indents in the middle of the page. Again, page 140. Tzadik Amar Yifrach Keres Balvanon Yizke Shetulim Beveit Adonai Bechatzrot Eloheinu Yafrichu Od Yenuvun Beseba Deshenim Verananim Yihu Lehagim Ki Hashar Adonai Tzuri Velo Havlata Boho. You guys really do sound great tonight. Thank you for actually, really means a lot. It's wonderful. I'll ask us now to rise and body our spirit for the Chatzi Kaddish on page 144 and remain standing through the Baruch Hu on the next page. Yitkada vehitkada shemei rabba Balma divrach kirutei v'amlich malchutei B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael Bagalaha uvizman kariv Veimeru Amen Yehishmei Rabba mevarach La'alam li'al me'al maya yitbarach יתברך וישתבח, ויתבר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשא בריחו, לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תמירן בעלמא. אמן. ברכו את אדוני המבורך. ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. Please be seated. We'll turn now to page 149. We'll read together in English towards the bottom of the page. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Umavir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uven laila, Adonai tzavahot shemo, El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, Amari v'arhavim. We'll turn now to page 151. We'll read together in English towards the bottom of the page. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Ki ehem chayenu ve'orech yameinu, uvahem nege yomam v'layla, v'avatcha al tasir mimenu li'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. On page 154. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, bechol levavcha ubechol nafshecha ubechol meodecha, ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele, Asher anochi metzavcha hayom al levavecha, veshinantam levanecha, vedibarta bam, beshiftecha beveitecha, uvelechtecha vaderech, shochbecha uvkumecha, ukshartam leot al yadecha, vehayu letotafot bein einecha, Uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha, leman tizkeru vasitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim leloechem, ani Adonai Eloechem, asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem Elohim, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem emet. Let's read together on page 155. It's a beautiful reading on the top of the page. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work. Whether you are tired or you are rested, let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai, your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai, your God. We'll turn now to page 158, Michamocha, at the very top of the page. Yabai bye bim 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 bam, yabai bye bim bam, yabai bye bim 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 bam, yabai bye bim bam, yai bye ba 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 bye, yabai bye bim bam, yai bye ba 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 bye, yabai bye bim bam. Mi chamocha bailim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar bakodesh. Nor tehilot o sefele, nor tehilot o sefele. Yabai bye bim 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 bam, yabai bye bim bam, yabai bye bim 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 bam, yabai bye bim bam, yai bye ba 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 bye, yabai bye bim bam. Yai bye 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 bim bam. Malchutecha rauvanecha. Okeyam lifnei Moshe miyam zeli anu ve'amru. Adonai yimloch leolam vahed. V'nemar kifad Adonai et Yaakov. Ugolo miad chazak mimenu. Baruch at Adonai. Gal Yisrael. Let's read together on the top of page 161. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up, waiting to do your will. Hashkivenu is on top of page 160. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom ve'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom ve'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Ushmor tzeiteinu, uvoeinu, lechaim u'shalom, me'ata ve'ad olam. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, ve'amidenu Shomreinu lechaim. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Yerushalayim. We turn to page 162. We're going to change the melody up a little bit because I keep getting requests from one of our members who likes the little bit more upbeat version of a Shamru. So for tonight, we'll do that. Next week, we'll see where we go. If you know this is a good one. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Veshamru Bnei Israel et HaShabbat, Lahasot et HaShabbat, Ledorotam Berit Olam. Now invite us to rise in body or in spirit as we turn to page 164. We'll begin the Amidah together, and from that point on, continue silently. As always, please go at your own pace, and when you're finished at the end, if you're still standing, you may be seated. Adonai sepatai tiftachu fi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Ose shalom imroma, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Yase shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yase shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Israel. Hey, please be seated. We'll turn to page 371 as we now offer our Mishaberach, our healing prayer for this evening. We'll begin by thinking of those in our community who are in need of that healing prayer tonight. Benzi Tepper, Alison Luckman, Malka Bat Chaya Sura, Michael Klinghofer, Ame and Warren Cass, Rivka Bat Rachel, Leah Bat Naomi, Lorraine Danis, David Dowling, Sivia Devora Bat Francis, Muriel Hirsch, Michelle Sawicki, Francis Kirschman, Shelley Newmark, Diane Axelrod, Gabriella Spicer, Barbara Kushner, David Kyle Klopman, Lorena Davis, Steve Rosen, Lori Nisanoff, Aaron Borbach, Carol Javna, Tikva Bat Avram, Philip Wessler, Paul Wax, Donald Borbach, Devorah Batsima, Sarah Story, Barbara Schwab, Alan Zaretsky, Leslie Schifrin, Charlie Zweig, Michael Rosenblatt, Trish Schapp, Randall Wasserman, Marcia Tempowski, Sue Wartor, Morris Kramer, Ann Baker, Jeffrey Schwartz, Kim Birnbaum, Deborah Block-Kroll, and Sylvia Orn. In addition to those names that we just read, we'll invite those watching at home to add the names of your loved ones and those that are in the room with us tonight. We'll start on this side of the room and work backwards, and then this side of the room and towards the rear of the room. If you have names to share, just please raise a hand so we make sure everyone's acknowledged. We'll join together in the Mishaberach on page 371, just in the middle of the page. Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. In all honesty, I thought tonight that I should just wheel the television in to show clips from last night's discussion about AI with Josh over here, who was humbly sitting behind the pole, by the way, but is one of the great teachers I've ever experienced last night. I learned so much. Everybody's looking around. Josh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to draw all the attention. But we're going to send the video out. Anybody who wants to learn about this. But it was a remarkable conversation, and believe it or not, a significant amount of Torah discussed as part of that conversation, which was great. But I'm going to go in a slightly different direction tonight, but who knows? You know, in the world of AI, it probably all circles back to it somehow or another, one way or the other. So tomorrow morning, we're going to read from Parshat Ekev. And Parshat Ekev is one of the parshas of the Torah that I think actually very few people really pay a whole lot of attention to. It's part of a long narrative. The book of Deuteronomy really is one long narrative, one long speech that Moshe gives to his people before he dies, before they enter the land of Israel. And as a result of it, it's a lot of looking back. It's a lot of retelling of stories, a lot of rehashing of a lot of pain, a lot of issues that the Israelites dealt with in the desert leading up to. A little bit, if actually maybe more than a little bit, of what we call in Hebrew of tochacha, of a certain amount of Moshe's loving rebuke, trying to extol his people, this generation that's going to go on without him, to be the best they can be, but doing that in a sometimes harsh kind of way. But amidst all of these things, we also have the second paragraph of the Shema, one of our most important blessings, which just by interesting reality is actually not part of our prayer book. Good tease to come to my Friday class to teach you exactly why that's the case. But in traditional Judaism, the second paragraph of the Shema is the one that establishes a direct relationship between the good acts that we do and the good things that happen to us, and the warnings against the bad things that we might do and the bad things that may come back as a result. This is known in the more complicated terms as theodicy, the belief that our actions in the world affect the high heavens, so to speak, and it comes back down to us in other forms. But I'm not going to focus on the latter part of the parsha where that appears. I'm actually going to talk about what really is the second word of the parsha, the one that gives its name, this word ekev, because it's an unusual word. It actually appears in a few different places in the Torah and a few different permutations, but it is unusually used in this case. Normally, the way that it is translated is this, right? V'haya ekev tishma'un et hamishpatim ha'ela ushmartem va'asitem otam v'shamar Adonai Elohecha lecha et haberit ve'et ha'chesed asher nishba labotecha. So if, right, v'haya ekev tishma'un, and if you do obey these rules, hamishpatim, and observe them carefully, your God Adonai will maintain faithfully for you the brit, the covenant made on oath with your forebears. So what is unusual about this and why this word to focus on? So a few different things the rabbis draw their attention to. The first is the first word, v'haya. It's actually, in a technical sense, a superfluous word. It's unnecessary. It simply establishes what the next word, ekev, actually does already. It talks about consequence. It's an if. It's a conditional phrase. If you do X, then this will happen. If you do Y, this will happen. So the rabbis say it's unusual, right? So why this v'haya and why this choice of ekev? In other places, there are different words used for the same exact construct. Okay, usually the word that appears is im. The word im. It appears multiple times in the book of Deuteronomy. It's a constant. It's reminding us that every day we have decisions to make. If we do this, then that. If we don't do this, then that. Constantly reminding us that every day is a series of decisions. Every one of those decisions meaningful, every one of those decisions impactful, and in some cases, those decisions are the difference between life and death. So the rabbis look at this and they say, okay, it can't be accidental. We have this extra word, we have this choice of word of ekev instead of the one that normally appears, so what is going on? So the word ekev itself has, as I said, a few different meanings. Well, we'll ask our resident Hebrew expert in the back of the room, Shelley. Shelley, in modern Hebrew, would the word ekev appear, what would it be? What would you use it for, or its root? Yeah, heel. Very good. Okay, the heel of your foot, as it is right now. Okay, so how do we get from a word whose root message, its root identity is the word for heel, to be used in this construct, in this sentence, to imply a conditional phrase like the word if? So how do we get from that to that? It's a longer story than I have to share with you tonight, but I'm going to give you at least one potential way of looking at this. So this teaching comes from the Orach Chaim Ibn Attar, and he says as follows. It's a little bit not in the direction we're going in the beginning, but it gets there. He says, so why did the Torah have to write the word v'haya? So he asks the first question. If the word refers to God keeping his covenant with us, in other words, right, shomer et habrit, it would have sufficed for the Torah to just simply write ekev tishma'un without the word v'haya as introduction. Okay, so this we establish. Another problem, though, he says, is this word of ekev instead of im. In a similar situation in Leviticus, the Torah writes im bechukotai telechu, right? This is the normal thing if you want to say if. Okay, and if you walk in my statutes, etc. So then the rabbis of the Midrash and Midrash Tanchuma say, on our verse, we write with the word ekev, heel, is actually an allegory, it's an allusion to the kind of commandments that people tend to ignore. In other words, the ones that we step on with our heels because we consider them as inconsequential. So what is being said here? Right? The warning, and actually there's a beautiful reading we had a little bit earlier that we normally don't do right after the Shema that I put in specifically because it relates to this idea, it relates to this concept. There are 613 commandments according to the rabbis. It's a lot of commandments. Some of them are activated only in very specific times. Some of them can't even be activated at all anymore. But there are still a lot of them that confront us on a day-by-day basis. And our natural tendency, understandably, is to hold up the 10 commandments, right? The big ones. Those are the ones we are very careful with, I should hope. Okay, I very highly doubt any of you today were out murdering or stealing or coveting each other's stuff and all of those things. We're good at that, okay? Generally speaking, we're pretty good at that. The complicated stuff is in the small things, the easy ones to pay less attention to, the simple acts that actually are rather profound, and just as importantly in the other direction, to understand that we can just as easily let ourselves slide in the doing of something not so good. Right? We can justify it, we can explain it, we can rationalize it, we can create every circumstance imaginable to defend our actions to the end. And I'm not just saying this is all of us. Every single person in this room is fully capable of doing both the good and the not so good. So why does this word get chosen for now? Why does Moshe have all the words to use? Does he pick this word ekev? Does he point our attention to this idea of the heel? So what does the Horachim say? What does the Midrash say? It says because it is a reminder to us that if our ancestors are going to pay any attention to Moshe's words, if they're going to take him seriously at all, it is not enough to pay only attention to the convenient laws. It's not enough to pay attention to the big ones. It's not enough to make attention for the ones that make you feel good. Okay? The whole system matters because each mitzvah is connected to another. And we ourselves don't know. It's a great teaching in Pirkei Avot that says, be as careful with a small mitzvah as a big one because we don't know what the reward and punishment for each of them is. We don't know in the end what matters the most to God. We're doing our best to kind of figure it out. But I would make the argument, as I think Moshe is making the argument to his people in his time, that we are not necessarily paying enough attention to the small details. We are not paying enough attention to the people and to the friendships and to the connections and the commitments that we make, that we trample under heel, consciously, unconsciously. It is a challenge that our ancestors faced. It is a challenge that we face each and every day. As Jews, we have a lot of responsibilities to our Creator. Some of them in this room, some of them we follow. Okay? Some of them we've decided for various reasons are not things that we're going to follow. But I'm not talking about laws of kashrut. I'm not talking about laws of Shabbat. I'm not talking about laws of reading the Torah. I'm not talking about laws of holidays. I'm talking about laws that relate to human beings, to the world that we share, to our relationship to each other, to our responsibility to each other. How we treat each other matters. How we speak to each other matters. How we think about the world that we share matters. Every single law in the end matters in some form or the other. And even if we reject them, even if we say no to them for various reasons, we still study them. We still talk about them. We still debate them. We don't take them out of the Torah. The issue of the heel, as it were, is not meant to make us feel bad. It's not meant to crush us underneath it. It's just simply a reminder to us that we have a tendency to just keep walking forward. Sometimes we have to stop. We have to think, we have to contemplate who is underneath us. Who are we stepping on? Who are we stepping over? And these are really deep, complicated questions. But they're questions, nonetheless, that must be asked, must be pursued, and must be treated seriously. As a last word, and this is one that is a further distance for me, it's not my particular theology, but in Judaism there is a belief in a concept of something called the Mashiach, right? The embodiment of the manifestation of God's godliness to bring us to a better place than where we are currently. And there's lots of things that relate to the concept of the Mashiach and to the Messianic age that comes with it. But interestingly enough, the rabbis determined that the period of time just before the Mashiach comes is, and I'm forgetting the Aramaic term for it, it's leaving my head, but it is based out of this word, ekev. It refers to this time period as the period in which we are living the furthest away, as the rabbis say, from our hearts. Okay, if you think about in the human body, right, where the heel is in relation to us, and they teach one other interesting thing. The heel, if you think about it, is the least sensitive part of the human body. You can put it into scalding hot water or freezing cold water, and it won't respond the same way as it does to the rest of the body. And it's true if you think about it. I mean, I have Dr. Lenskowski over here is probably thinking, of Grey's Anatomy to be sure whether I'm saying this is correct. But in principle, right, just think about what that means. So that is both a challenge because it's disconnected from sensations, it's disconnected from our intellect, it's disconnected from the things that help us to control it. But it's also the thing that actually is the most resilient part of our body to some degree. And that in the end, our struggles are also an opportunity to demonstrate our resilience. When we can't live up to the highest aspirations, instead of giving up and making ourselves feel terrible and self-flagellating ourselves, our tradition says, no, you pick yourself up the next day and you do better. You have a next opportunity tomorrow. Do better. Don't feel bad about it. Don't feel sad about it. Commit to it. Commit to the idea that we can be better than we are today. And not to make ourselves feel bad about it, but to look at it as a gift, to look at it as an opportunity, to look at it as something to treasure. So this parsha and this one word, right, gives us all of this instruction, all of this reminder to us. And I suspect that at the very least, none of you are going to think about your heel the same way as you did before you walked in the room tonight. So for that, at the very least, we can give the rabbis thanks, and hopefully a little bit of good growth can come from this as well. So with that, I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom, and we'll ask you to rise in body or in spirit as we turn back to our Sidurim, to our prayer books. Page 586, the very bottom, Aleinu L'Shabeach. Aleinu L'Shabeach L'Adon HaKol, Latet Gedula L'Yotzer Breshit, Shelo Asanu Kegoye Ha'aratzot, Velo Samanu Kemishpechot Adama, Shelo Samach Elkenu Kahem, Vegor Aleinu Kechol Hamonam, Vanachnu Korim, Umishtachavim, Umodim, Lifnei Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Page 591. V'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. Ask those in mourning, those observing yahrzeit, to please remain standing. Everyone else may be seated at this time. We think first of those who've passed in our community in recent months. Bert Bitterman, Morty Schwatzky, Beverly Deshevsky, Jerry Goldsmith, Dr. Sam Gould, Sandy Greenwald, Dorothy Klein, Sean Leibowitz, David Lieberman, Marvin Schreier, Sandy Slip, Barbara Strasser, David Weinstein, Rita Weitzman, and Yael Zerdar. We also mark the yahrzeits that occurred during the last week for Abraham Bender, Lillian Diner, Benjamin Deinitz, Bill Durst, Rhea Fishman, Tobias Gilbert, Daniel Karp Goodman, Arthur Grossman, David Harris, Daniel Saul Kaplowitz, Alan Baruch Klopman, Audrey Lubo, Rose Massoff, Rebecca Matlis, Norma Polsek, Alicia Brown Pomeroy, Haftish Rebish, Esther Schulman, Carol Silberg, Vera Sims, Lena Spitz, Nancy Deinitz Spitzer, Linda Stelmick, Eric Strasser, and Harry Zuckerman. In addition to those names that I just read, if anyone is saying Kaddish for anyone we did not mention and they'd like to mention their names, I'll invite the mourners to join with me on page 598, and if it's your custom, you may rise at this time. Again, page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'b'yomechon u'b'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'b'zman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'li'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hui aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Zichronam livracha, may every one of their memories be for a blessing. Please be seated. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us tonight, and thank you to Rona, who is sponsoring our oneg tonight in loving memory of Alan. And we've got some wonderful things to eat, I'm sure, in just a few moments, Rona. And thank you again for making space for our family, for Lou, to remember her mother, Audrey, and Lou having brought some sunflowers on the table, too, bringing a little sun into the room. So thank you, guys. While I compose myself, Shabbat continues. Shabbat services tomorrow, 10 o'clock. You can join us here, of course, at the temple or join us online as well. Torah study will be the Torah study using our Torah Women's Commentary and will be facilitated and led by Leah Oppenheimer. And all are welcome again at 12 o'clock to join us for Torah study, either here at the temple or on Zoom. Also, a reminder, tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock, our congregational beach party and Havdalah at Main Beach, East Hampton. So Main Beach, East Hampton, you can park there, I'm told, after 5 o'clock. We're meeting at 6 o'clock. Bring your own food, bring whatever else you choose to bring, and we are providing s'mores, I'm told. So, come and bring your friends. Bring your friends. It's a great time, and hopefully it will be good weather. Also, it is a series of last. It's like a weird thing that the summer is starting to come to an end, but it will be our last book group with Ruth Joseph on Sunday at 11 o'clock. So again, you can join Ruth here at the temple or join her on Zoom. Our last class with Myra on Tuesday at noon in our Hillel and Musar class. Our last class with Ari Weller on Wednesday at 4 o'clock. And a big thank you to all of them for teaching. We have some great lay leadership that have really jumped in this summer to teach, and we really appreciate that. And Mitch, for your class as well earlier in the summer. And this is something that hopefully we can continue to develop. We really have a lot of wonderful people, and it's not small to dedicate your time to teach others. It's a great gift. So thank you to everybody who has done that this summer, and hopefully many opportunities in the future to do again. And if you're interested or you have some thoughts of things, please do let us know. Also, just to note that I moved my coffee with the rabbi from Wednesdays to Thursdays just because I like messing with all of you. But please do come and see me on Thursdays in August, 10 o'clock. We've got coffee. We've got me. Lovely to have you. Next Shabbat, we're very excited. Rabbi Leon Morris, our Rabbi Emeritus, and Dasi, and the kids are coming from Israel, joining us for a whole long weekend. Begins on Friday night. We, of course, also have our... do we have holiday next week? No. We can't. Okay, we might have holiday, Shabbat by the Bay, and then services here, of course, beginning at 6:30. Rabbi Morris will be giving the drash that evening. He'll be teaching, as will Dasi. There's various things. There's actually too many things on my list, so please pick up your calendar here. It has all the information that you need. Potluck. No, I know. I'm getting to the potluck. Don't worry. I try to build up to these things. Potluck, Friday night, but please let Andrea know, A, that you're coming, B, that you're bringing something. Reminder again, vegetarian food or pescatarian food only. We appreciate everybody being there, and it'll be a great chance to see Leon and Dasi and everybody and hear a little bit about their experience in Israel, especially these days. Some interesting things going on. So please join us for all of that. Also, a reminder, this is then the following weekend, I believe, is the HUC weekend, right? Not 2 weeks? The 7th, exactly. Very good. So the 17th, we have a cantorial concert with Cantor Kevin, Cantor Lauren. Friday night, Dr. Andrew Rayfeld, who is the president of HUC, will be speaking, teaching Torah study on Saturday. A lot of really great things going on there. Also, Thursdays, challah making with our challah mavens, August 10th, beginning at 5 o'clock with Erica and Roger Matloff, who make a very mean challah from what I'm told. And we also, on Thursday, August 10th, at 7 o'clock, are showing, what is that? Very important film, Four Winters, a documentary about Jewish resistance and bravery during World War II, created by Oscar, Emmy, Sundance, and Cannes award-winning filmmakers. So we'll be showing that film here at 7 o'clock, and we want to thank Ann Schwatzky for arranging it, and to Sherry and Howie Littman for sponsoring the film. So again, that'll be August 10th. And a very late edition, which this is exciting for me. So some of you, we have our good friends at Bay Street Theater. They are putting on a performance, a one-man performance with Steve Gutenberg. It is known as the Tales from the Gutenberg Bible, which is very clever. Some of you, in my era, this was a big movie star, especially when I was a kid. And we're going to actually have him here on a Tuesday at 3 o'clock, and I get to interview him. So it's a great thing. So please come, please watch. We'll put it on the streaming also. Go see the show. Go support Bay Street in general. It's just a wonderful place, and we love them. And again, lots of great things all the way through the end of the month. Please pick up your calendar if you don't have it. Check our website, all those good things. Okay, I think, honestly, at this point, I think the announcements are about as long as my sermon. So you'll tell me whether that's a good thing or a not so good thing. But okay, yes, I think we'll take our kiddush and our motzi here. Thank you, Shelley. Team efforts. Thank you. Okay, so we'll turn to page 123 for Kiddush, and we'll rise, again, page 123, and then as soon as we're done with Kiddush and Motzi, we'll go next door, and we'll enjoy some time together. And Rona, thank you again for sponsoring tonight's owning. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon inchilanu zikaron lemase v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh zecher letziat mitzrayim ki vanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim ve'shabbat kodshecha ve'ahava uvratzon inchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. L'chaim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Please come next door and have a wonderful rest of your Shabbat. That is a whole sermon. I'm not usually, but that's kind of hard to argue with, Right? If somebody was playing some loud organ music behind, that's oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. I really hope that somewhere, somehow, you know, unbelievable. That is hysterically funny.